We're in the house today talking Roseanne's racist tweet and a lot more on Black Hollywood Lives this week.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Live this week.
Drug dealing aside, ghost writing aside. Let's have a heart-to-heart about your pride. Even though you're multi, I see that your soul don't look alive. The M's count different when baby divides the pie. Wait, let's examine why your music for the past few years been angry and full of lies. I started at the home front, I'm on one. Then it's gram, stay off the gram, bitch, I'm on one. You mentioned wedding ring like it's a bad thing. Your father walked away at 5, hell of a dad thing. Marriage is something that Sandy never had, Drake.
We letting that beat roll for a second. You know, that Pusha T right there, that diss track. I don't know if I should be excited about it or I feel like I need to take a step back and not really listen to it. Is it good? Is it bad?
I mean, it's good for a diss track. I don't know if it's good for moral sensibilities, but
right, that's what I'm saying. I feel you on that. I might need to go see Jesus after listening to that track. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Black Hollywood Lives this week. I'm your host, Derrial Christon. Joining me today is Courtney Stewart.
Hey, y'all, I'm back.
And I have very special guests with us today from the hit web series Giants. I have James Bland with me and Vanessa Baden Kelly in the house.
What's up?
Welcome.
Thank you guys for joining us.
That was good to be here.
You know, what do you guys think about that track?
All right, so I'm gonna be honest. That was the first time I heard it.
Okay.
And so, of course, I've seen all of the memes. You know, the internet has been buzzing about it. I just have not gotten around to listen to it.
Okay, that's fair.
But
that's fair. You've been doing things like doing a hit web series.
You know what I'm saying?
More important things in life. I get it.
Guys, I love Drake. I really do, but it's gonna be pushing 7.
Really?
Pusha's got it. I mean, lyrically, he's just better. But Drake is clever and all these wonderful things, but he's a battle rapper, and he came for the freaking jugular.
He did come for the jugular.
Like,
all of it.
And I mean, Kanye produced it.
Let's not forget what Drake did with Back to Back, you know, with the Meek beat. The thing that I love about Drake, I think Drake has the ability to drop a diss track that still feels like something we want to bang in the club.
Yeah, I give you that.
Something that's going to continue to stay in rotation, you know, even after the beef is done. So I think Drake may come back with something.
Well, here's what I think. I think Drake shouldn't respond. I know that's the unpopular thought.
I agree with you,
but I think he shouldn't respond because Push is a battle rapper. Like, Meek ain't got nothing on Push.
I agree with that.
And Push is like fighting 50 Cent. There's no level of decency or morality. They're coming to snatch your soul.
Yeah.
I feel the passion.
You know what I mean? Like, they're coming to snatch your soul. All they care about is winning.
Exactly.
And so if you like dig up some stuff on Pusha T, that's not gonna hurt his career. Like, this is who he is. You dig up some stuff on Drake, and that'll hurt his career.
And his feelings.
Right.
He is sensitive. I like that about him. It's all good.
But his fan base don't care if he gets demolished in this. They're still gonna buy his stuff. So just be quiet.
And keep it light. You're going to win.
Just pretend like it didn't even happen.
Exactly.
Continue to work on that album.
We're going to get into that subject a little bit more, but first we got some good stuff that Courtney's going to bring to us.
We got some stuff to talk about, y'all. We got some stuff to talk about. Like, okay, so Tuesday morning, I woke up, you know what I'm saying, from a slightly red meat and alcohol-infused coma for a few hours.
Type of day.
Because, you know, we had Memorial Weekend. We had Memorial Day off. We was partying, doing our thing, waking up on Tuesday, think we just going to go to work, you know, and start doing our life. And then suddenly, all over the internet, Roseanne Barr on some bullshit, y'all. And ABC, before my noon lunch, had came down with the axe and said, sis, Roseanne, that show you thought you had, girl.
It's a wrap.
Channing Dungey said she's a ABC president, said, no, baby, we done. So most of y'all know by now it's Thursday, because that was Tuesday. We were stressed out Tuesday morning, like, what happened? How in the world? Whatever. I ain't even got to Twitter yet before I found out that it was over for the woman. Yeah. So it turned out she had typed up a little tweet talking about some more nonsense. It wasn't new news for most of y'all that know anything about Roseanne Barr. She said some real racist-ish about Valerie Jarrett, who was a part of Obama's White House. And I'm not going to repeat it because it doesn't deserve repeating. Sure. But it was inappropriate, it was disgusting, and ABC agreed. And it was crazy, though, because this was the biggest show last year, or this past season.
Because reboots aren't getting these type of numbers.
I mean, she got 18 million viewers on their debut, and by the time it was the show closed, a few episodes later, it started again in March, and it closed in May, and it closed with 10 million viewers. So that was literally ABC and Disney being like, oh, that's a whole lot of money. throw it down the toilet, girl. We believe in non-racial nonsense, and we are not going to support that ish. So a lot of us was proud and excited and happy for ABC, but I'm still shocked. I feel like my wig's still over there.
I am too. Because remember they snatched that episode of Blackish?
Yes.
And that's what everybody wants people to talk about.
Yeah. That this would have been their response.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
But you're also messing with a freshly newly appointed black president of entertainment.
But she was in place even when the Blackish episode was pulled. I feel like she had to save face and be like, "No, I can't let this ride.
Let both of these things happen."
Yeah.
I mean, but this is it. I can't lie to you. The other night, or that night, Tuesday night, I was listening or watching Roseanne's tweets because she said she was going to get off of Twitter after her crazy tweet. She kept tweeting. Because people were going in because it was like a war.
Blamed it on the goose. Blamed it on the ambient. Blamed it on the cousins.
Then she said that she didn't know that she was black. You know, I'm like, really? Come on, you don't.
The lies.
You didn't know she was black.
She what?
She didn't know she was black.
Yeah, she said she didn't know she was black. Yeah. She said I would have never said that.
And then she got on Twitter and she said, "Don't defend me.
Yeah.
You know what I've done is horrible." And you know, I guess she was taking accountability for it, and she didn't want people to defend her. However, she kept retweeting people defending her.
Yes, she did.
She did. It was bizarre. And somebody was like, "Do you not know that we can see what you retweet?"
Right.
Like,
that's what happens
somebody come teach Roseanne
She was
how to
like,
work Twitter.
"Oh, it's just my people that like me to get to see those. That's okay. That's okay." Well, a whole bunch of people out of jobs, though.
I know, that's the thing.
There's a lot of back and forth kind of about that because for those of you guys that don't understand the Hollywood life, basically this show was, their writer's room had just started Tuesday. Yeah. And so those people that took that job as writers for this next season turned down whatever. They didn't take other jobs. So now most of the shows are staffed, and those people are definitely out of work, and including obviously the crew and things that would come back. So it's a lot of jobs lost also, unfortunately.
I have no opinion on it, to be honest, but I've seen quite a few think pieces about people where people are saying, you knew you were working for a racist, so I don't have any empathy for you losing your job.
True that.
And there's a part of me that's kind of like,
yeah. I saw an article that was saying that the network, ABC and Disney, may still be on the hook for tens of millions of
I saw that too.
of dollars, I guess, as a result of contracts.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's still going to be a loss. But at least some folks still may be compensated as a result.
Yeah, and it's a lot of conversation going back and forth too, because there were rumors that maybe they would continue with the show without Roseanne, but I think that would be kind of weird.
Yeah, super weird.
I feel like just
I think they should do it just because it would please me.
Well,
They just need to call it the Connors.
The Connors, that's what
have
I'm saying,
her
call it the
accidentally
Connors.
die doing something and see what they could do.
Because the show was problematic anyway. So.
Yeah.
But I do applaud some of her key cast. Obviously Wanda Sykes was very key in leaving very early on, and she was instrumental in this going down.
Not early on.
Not early on. But I mean, when it all hit the fan. And then, but her other cast.
She tweeted like an hour before, and I'm not going to do the show no more.
Well, I mean.
Whatever.
So you're not feeling Wanda on this? You just said about the second. Don't hide it now. Don't hide your comment now.
I'm not trying to hide nothing. I'm just saying, I ain't trying to judge nobody for the decisions they make in their own life. I don't have to pay her bills. I ain't got to take care of her kids. I don't have to, so I don't know why. I have questions as to why she was ever even a part of the show. But
okay, all right, okay. Well,
and I'm not even against a lot that went on the show. I actually think the show conceptually was a good idea to come back because I do think it showed something that maybe we needed to see. I think I would have done it a little different, but that's on me.
Okay, but let me ask you guys the question because it's always sometimes easy for us to be on the outside and give our opinion about this. But you, working actors, if you knew that you had a boss who had, as we know, very different political views. We haven't known Roseanne as racist per se.
Yeah, we have. I'm sorry, y'all. She did a Nazi photo with burnt Jew cookies.
Okay, that's true. Okay, I forgot about that.
Having different political views is one thing, and I think that was, if we agree, I think that was the beautiful thing about the Roseanne
Exactly.
reboot. And I think a lot of us in the media who maybe sway, or even in the nation who sway a different way, needed to see that.
Agreed.
Because we're bombarded with Modern Family.
Right.
Yeah.
And things like that. And listen, let me preface this by saying, fuck Donald Trump, right?
We don't even say his name on the show, girl. We don't even say his name.
Tell us how you really feel about this.
That's Big Cheeto.
But you got to think of all the family shows that are on air right now. they don't speak the language of most of America.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And so if there were any real reason, which I don't all the way agree with, but if there were any real reason that people felt like they were in flyover states, it's because of problematic programming like that, where this Modern Family doesn't look like most of the Midwest, doesn't look like the South for sure.
For sure.
So we needed a Roseanne. One, so they could shut up and like they could see themselves, but also because we needed to get back in touch with that. LA and Hollywood is a bubble. It's just they just swung all the way.
Unfortunately, the head of the show, being Roseanne, is a problematic human being.
Sure.
Right. That's true. Always has been to an extent. I mean, let's go back to the national anthem that she sang that was people were upset about that.
And sometimes you can chalk it up to she's trying to get attention and she's doing all this stuff, but at a certain point it's like, girl, you like 70 at this 65.
That's who you are.
I think
it's a new world.
This is it for her. I think this is it.
Oh no, y'all, because I was watching Fox News. And them people.
I could see her coming back as like a commentator on a show, kind of like The Talk, or you don't see it.
I don't know if we're gonna be here for it anymore with her.
She's gonna be at the Fox Breakfast Club.
And she got her
show called on Fox? Fox and Friends, or whatever.
But I do commend some of her cast members who spoke against her. I don't remember his name, but the young boy who plays he's a man now, played DJ.
Yeah.
She went in on him on Twitter as well because he spoke about how he does not condone bigotry and people need to do what's right. And then she went on to him saying basically like, my show was not basically about that. It was about opening up the envelope to different topics. Me, way to throw me under the bus. But I was like,
girl, you threw yourself. You ran under the bus.
Look, you drove yourself under the bus and ran yourself over.
Shout out to ABC, shout out to ICM who dropped her as agents,
quickly.
And all the people that did not support what she did.
You gotta hit them where it counts in the money.
It gave me hope in some humanity, which I don't often have when we do this show.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to the new hope for humanity.
Oh God, is this
in the corporate world? Starbucks and their sensitivity training.
Oh boy.
Well, we talked about it before, so we had to come back because they did it, and we wanted to know, what exactly did they do? Like, what did they have planned, and how did this all go down? So on Tuesday, while Roseanne was exploding in Hollywood, Starbucks around the country was doing their 4-hour training session that it rolled out for its employees. And basically, here are some of the things that Starbucks did. Starbucks commissioned a short film by award-winning documentarian Stanley Nelson about race in America. The film is available online if you guys would like to check it out. It's for free. And in fact, all of the Starbucks materials are available online somewhere, which I have not found yet, but I did find the short film. So the short film was basically lots of people of color talking about how much it sucks to go into a store and be followed, how much it sucks to go into a store and have the ladies call you out even though you ain't doing nothing. Lots of white people responded that attended the training and said, oh my God, that must be a really heavy burden to bear. I can't believe you guys have to go through that. They went on and showed a few other videos. In fact, Common was in one of the videos talking about race again in America and racial anxiety and implicit bias. And then they had conversations afterwards, which is very important apparently in sensitivity training. The thing that was really interesting is that it was not a requirement for all Starbucks employees. It was voluntary. So I ain't got no numbers on how many people actually showed up to the training, but according to Starbucks, all of their employees got an invite and were encouraged to attend. Now, I'm gonna just ask one little question. In America, you had Memorial Weekend, and then you had Tuesday where you could or could not go to sensitivity training. What do you think most of those employees did? I didn't know that either. So that was, NPR reported that. So unless they made that up, I found it, they were a pretty decent source. They said it was voluntary. Basically, in the end, the chairman of Starbucks, his name is Howard Schultz, he talked about this moment for Starbucks as extremely transformative. And then there was some sociological people that was like, bruh, nah, you know what? Sorry, this ain't gonna do anything. In fact, Frank Dobbins, who teaches sociology at Harvard University, said training virtually never has an effect on people's bias. And it's partly because bias is based on a lifetime of experiences with the media and with real life. Benefits tend to be short-lived. what works better, he says, is more diverse hiring at the management level. And the lady that came up with Starbucks trainings, the curriculum for it, she basically said, we are aware, like we're not thinking that we're gonna change the world in 4 hours, but if anything, we're trying to make people think about it and give them a few tools to do better.
Okay.
So there you go, guys. That's what Starbucks did as the example for corporate America moving forward.
Did you see some of the questions, though, that were being asked in there? It was weird. It was like, when were you first identifying with your racial identity and just very specific, weird questions.
And a lot of people said they were more targeted at the people of color than they were at.
So I'm like, who wrote those questions up? I still feel like they don't quite get it yet. You know what I mean? It's not quite
Of course
understood.
they don't quite get it. There's no corporate America trying to tell.
But there is black executives there. But here's my thing. It's got to go through a layer of red tape. There are black people looking at these questions as well. There's black executives and management there.
You know what? I just rather them have like a black person, like black group of people that go around and like, check in the stores, like when they have secret shoppers and stuff. And then when white people do stupid shit, just put a sign on them and say, "You suck." And just keep doing it. Like you get and you got you have to wear it like the scarlet letter all the time. If you don't junk, it's
you said the scarlet letter.
What about if you know how the health department gives?
Yeah, they're great.
That's
an initiative we can start.
Listen,
start that.
We can start a BHL right now.
You have to post that ish in your window.
But you know what I will give Starbucks their credit for is that they tried to do anything at all.
They did.
There's a Martin Luther King quote that I'm going to completely butcher, and so I'll just, paraphrase, is that he says that it is the job of white Americans to unlearn all the things that they have learned, and few, if any, have ever decided to even attempt to.
Exactly.
And they said that's what the basis of white supremacy is built on, the fact that they think they have to learn so little. So I give them their propers for being like, hey, we got a lot to learn. And if they attack it wrong, they just learn one more way that they wrong. I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
That's more than a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, because I guess the
bar is low.
That's true.
The main thing was Starbucks knew they had to do something.
Yes.
And I guess the big question is, if not this, then I guess what, beyond, of course, getting rid of that employee who called the police. Yeah. I don't know. I've heard a lot of folks say that this particular incident is isolated. I don't know if Starbucks has a history of this type of behavior or things happening within the stores. So that would be a big question that I would have is what are some suggestions for what Starbucks could have done beyond this day of diversity or inclusion training.
For one, make it mandatory.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm aware,
I didn't know it wasn't.
I assumed it would be mandatory if you're making this big movement.
Sure,
and as far as I'm aware, Starbucks is not franchised. It's still owned by one bruh.
It is.
So from a corporate structure point of view, you could have made that mandatory for everybody.
Yep.
And would it have done a lot? Maybe not. But if it does anything, it annoys people. And they're like, well, hell, I'm not going to be calling this guy that looks Hispanic Pedro just because I feel like it and being funny on his cup because I don't want to have to go back to sensitivity training.
Right.
So I don't know. That little thing would have made me feel that much better about what they did.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this also starts a cycle where other companies, other restaurants will be fearful of not letting their employees have this type of opportunity to do things, because it takes one to make other changes. So I agree with you. Starbucks has started the cycle, so at least we can start there.
Yeah,
we gotta start somewhere.
And it'll be interesting to see how it evolves, being that we've been doing sexual harassment training since the 80s, I believe, and we see how well that worked out.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. On that note, Courtney, is there anything else?
I'm so positive today. I'm sorry.
I don't really know how to end.
These are the things that happen in my brain because I'm like, if we've been doing that for 40 years and this is the best we've come up with, and now we're just now tackling racism essentially that has ingrained in ways that we can't even begin to talk about because we don't even acknowledge they exist to begin with, then how are we going to do it?
I can't believe it's 2018.
I know.
Wow, yeah.
This is America.
Sorry, guys.
This is America.
Woo, but we're excited because we're...
Not the sound effect. On that note, we're going to move on to our EUR Web Stories Spotlight of the Week.
See, magic. We got better music.
Magic. So, in the world of hip-hop beef,
Yes.
There's a new twosome that have been fighting, Drake and Pusha T. I don't know, we talked about the track a little bit earlier because we started the show with it. So Pusha T is not hearing any things about Drake right now. He had a new track called Adidon, the story of Adidon, and basically in that track he's dissing Drake in many ways, calling him a deadbeat father, says he has a son with a French porn star, and one of the most controversial things about it, he's using an image of Drake in blackface.
Yeah.
And Drake was not happy about that at all. And you know, I feel like Drake also gets a lot of bad rap with a lot of things, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But so Drake addressed the image. He said, everyone is enjoying the circus, but I want to clarify the photo. This was not from a clothing brand shoot off my career. This is from 2007, a time in my life where I was an actor and I was working on a project that was about young black struggling actors trying to get roles, being stereotyped and typecast. The photo represents how African Americans were once wrongly portrayed in entertainment. So, I mean, he's also created his own kind of diss track back at Pusha T. It's called Duppy Freestyle, where he's comparing Pusha T to a faded autograph. You guys heard the track. You've seen kind of what's going on back and forth. What are your thoughts on everything? I know you, Vanessa. I know you got something to say.
I started everything with like a heavy sigh and a heavy news week.
Oh man.
So just taking it piece by piece, I think Push is gonna win this lyrically. I just think he is.
Okay.
And that's not to say anything about Drake's ability on the mic, because he's obviously extraordinarily talented, very clever. I just think Push is built to be a battle rapper. Like, that's just what he is.
Yeah.
He'll eat your children. He
He will
doesn't
eat your
care.
children. He will.
And also, that's kind of like, you know, if you find out that Pusha T is a deadbeat dad, you're just like, oh, damn, Push. And then you keep moving past it. If Drake is a deadbeat dad, that tarnishes this, like, kind of shiny image that he has.
Yes, he said he bought her as bags for all for the wife that he's going to like put up here,
and then you can't take it, and you're not taking care of your kid.
Yeah.
So there's more to lose for Drake.
Yeah.
And I also feel like Drake's career has already eclipsed and will continue to eclipse Push's. And so this will just be a blip for him, and he just needs to bow out and just allow this thing to pass. He doesn't lose any cred anywhere. Nobody thought he was hard. No way.
Exactly.
Like just,
we knew. Yeah, we knew. We saw Degrassi High or Junior High or whatever. We knew.
But as far as the blackface thing, I got into a couple of Facebook arguments about that today. Because while I don't think that blackface would ever be my chosen method of artistic protest, and I totally understand people's thoughts. Some people are like, there is no appropriate time for blackface, whether you're black or white.
Yeah.
I completely understand, and I would almost go to say I agree with that. I think of Bamboozled. And that was, they were ultimately trying to make the same point.
Yeah.
And we kind of gave it, we gave it a pass.
Yeah.
And so if what Drake is saying is true, that that's what these photos were, it does contextually change what their purpose was.
Yeah.
And now people are starting to argue, well, he's not black. And I'm like, so Barack wasn't either? Because this is the same damn mix, and y'all see Drake dead.
If that's the case, a lot of people ain't black.
He real Negro.
That's what you're comparing
really
to.
a Negro.
He is 100% Negro.
Yes.
He walking around in
Champagne
do-rags
grandma.
and suits
With the stash and the Crocs and the...
And so,
Go ahead.
yeah, but that's it. So the whole blackface thing, I totally get what Push was doing, and he did start a riot.
Yes, he did.
But I don't think that that's the thing that we need to jump on Drake about. That's my personal opinion, especially if you're somebody who considers Bamboozled a piece of art.
Yes.
But then now when Drake's blackness came into question, that's when I got a little up in arms. And I don't really care who wins.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was like, you ain't about to call this man not black all of a sudden.
Right.
Agreed.
I agree. I think everything Vanessa said is absolutely right. I think Drake is going to ultimately have to take the L, in particular on that photo, because I definitely understand the explanation, and I get it. It's noble. Thank you for doing that, brother. But the photo was still, it's still blackface. Right. And it's going to be a meme all over the internet. You're not going to be able to do anything to, live that or to put that down. But man, just continue to work on the album, brother. Like the singles that you have dropped have been phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Continue to do that. Drop a banging album, man. We'll keep it moving.
He wins if he has one track on his album talking about how hard fatherhood and his journey to fatherhood has been.
That's exactly where I was going. I'm like, I just want one song that you let me know that baby ain't sitting there wondering who his daddy is.
Right. And you ain't technically, he's still denying.
Well, see, that's the point. Well, he can clear that up.
They still haven't done a DNA test.
Well, that's the point. But he could have done a DNA test by now. That baby was born in October.
Yeah.
You could have had your DNA test and then saying that ain't my son. And we'll be like, all right, see, we knew.
Right. But also, I don't know if y'all remember, because I'm an avid TMZ reader, which I'm not ashamed of. This story broke last year.
Yeah.
So, and nobody cared till Push brought it up.
No.
So, and obviously this project existed before this because Push was able to get his hands on it, and nobody cared. And that's why I'm just like, Dre, bruh, just let it go, because nobody cared before. They won't care next week.
He's just selling his album because the
it.
Whitney picture wasn't enough, and he's got a lot more attention.
And that's honestly the most disrespectful shit. Like, that's the only reason I'm like, Push. You just don't even care, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that one. That took too far. I think it took too far.
Because his concern was like, I ain't got $80K, but if Kanye gonna pay for it, all right, bro. That was your concern? That was your only concern?
Yeah.
Creatively, you weren't like, ooh.
Well, I do feel like
choice.
I know Push, because all of us feel like we know Push and no Malice. Like, the clips were like a really big deal, and everybody can do the grinding beat with a pencil on a desk at school. Like, those are my cousins, and I just want to sit him down and be like, bruh, you don't have to do that little light-skinned boy like that.
I mean, I think Dre is going to continue to win, like you said. I think he's just an easy target. I mean, he's been targeted for a long time, but he still keeps bringing out the hits, and we know his talent, and that Degrassi high is going to haunt him for the rest of his life, because I think that's always going to take away a little bit his street cred.
But he doesn't need it.
I don't think he needs it either, but that's why I think
he's essentially a pop star at this point.
I agree, but I think that the other rappers come at him because of that, because that's their nugget.
And that's his fragile masculinity that he worried about. That ain't got nothing to do with his street cred.
And unfortunately, in the hip-hop world, we notice it's like about your street cred. And
you're not hip-hop.
I think it used to be that. I think that it has transformed tremendously, because, like, low-key, Lil Yachty.
I mean, look, you shut me down. You're right about that. I'll just shut the hell up. You're right about that. You won the argument.
Nobody cares. I don't want to say nobody cares. We care.
Right.
You know what I mean? We care. But the audience isn't. To be fair, like, Drake's audience probably cares more about the baby than they do about the blackface.
Yeah, exactly.
The majority
That's
of his audience isn't black.
Yeah, that is true.
So, like, they're like, just like, oh my God, I love you. Like,
and you have this baby.
Yeah.
See, they could dismiss it last year because it's like, that could have been groupie. We don't know. She's a porn star. We don't know who baby that is. But now that you still don't know if it's your baby or not, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
The memes are making their songs.
The memes are always the best.
The internet saved my life on a daily basis.
Well, the internets have also blown up about this next story about Kim K visiting Mr. Donald Trump, the president, right now. So apparently, which I didn't know this, maybe you guys did, but Kim K met with Trump to discuss prison reform. I didn't know she was an activist about this.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what? You learn something every day in the news. Thank God to TMZ for letting us break that story. So Trump, they met this week, and Trump tweeted, "Great meeting with Kim Kardashian today. Talked prison reform and sentencing." She replied, "I would like to thank President Trump for his time this afternoon. It is our hope that the president will grant clemency to Miss Alice Marie Johnson, who is serving a life sentence for the first time for a nonviolent drug offense. If you guys don't know, she's a 63-year-old grandmother who has been in prison since 1996, first-time drug offense, and is never getting paroled. So, that was the big debate about this whole story. Now, do you think that this is a publicity stunt for Miss Kim K, or do you think that she really, truly, sincerely believes in this prison reform?
I'm gonna let y'all go first because I got a dissertation.
I feel like I feel like I need to throw some water on you. She already shaking. She ready to go.
All right, I tried. I tried real hard to see the positive of this. If she wants to help this grandma get out of prison, then obviously we need some prison reform. I think it's interesting that prison reform for her is this single grandmother being granted clemency. And from what I can see of the case, maybe not the star case I would have taken on, I don't know all the details, but from what I understand, she was in a coke ring. These ain't just like some, like some kids that like had an ounce of weed and like got put up. But I understand the theory of like it's your first offense. It was non-violent.
Yeah.
Like why is she in for life?
For life, I think that's a little bit
I understand
aggressive.
that. Fine. So I'm gonna go with what Wendy Williams said today on the show. She said she thinks that Kim is bored with all of her money and unhappy or frustrated in her marriage and needs to channel her energy somewhere. And if she wants to channel her energy into possibly getting prison reform, and if Donald Trump is going to listen to her and perhaps get his Department of Justice moving in the opposite direction of where they're moving right now. See, that's why it don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like
I saw it spinning in your head.
but that's my point. Like that's why I can't fully receive it. I'm trying to honor what she's doing, but like it goes against everything that the White House is already saying that they're doing. But yet you're so I think it's bullshit and it pisses me off and I'm annoyed. And that stupid ass picture. And okay, I don't support what the New York Post did, but I laughed like crazy.
Trump meets with Rump. Is that what you mean?
Oh no, I was talking about Kim Jong-un and
only Kim or something like that.
I laughed, but it's wrong. It wasn't nice. It was wrong. It wasn't wrong. It just wasn't nice. But anyway, whatever. I'm done. I refuse. I said months ago I was never going to talk about the Kardashians again.
You did. She actually, true story. She actually texted me last night. She said, "Do you want this Kim K story? Because I'm about to give you another story."
I want to talk about Serena Williams and her cat suit because I be trying to end the show on a positive note. And she came back and she won the French Open or won her thing, and that's what I was trying to talk about. But he wanted to talk about.
I wanted to give Kim K a little bit of credibility, so I wanted to talk about the story.
Well, but you know what? We can maybe circle back because Serena also just launched her clothing line.
She
I don't know if you saw the
did.
tweet she put out, saying how it was a real struggle. So maybe we can kind of like circle back to it.
Listen, guys.
I wanted to end on Black Girl Magic.
Some black excellence.
The Kardashian clan, which now Kanye is a Kardashian.
Yes, he is.
The Kardashian clan are just, they're emotionally manipulative people. They're manipulators, and I'm now beginning to believe that they're evil.
Wow.
Like straight up, they, and I don't know if they do it consciously.
I don't think
but
they.
I don't think they do it consciously. Like I don't think like they have like some like
They're too
some
self-absorbed.
right. They're too self-absorbed. They don't have like no get out stuff in the basement.
Right.
Maybe. But like they prey on black culture. When they're called out on it, they so viciously defend themselves that they're not even open to hearing how they could be affecting things. They almost strike me as the white women who think that they're better than black women.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like the ones that are like, no, a guy is definitely gonna pick me over his black girlfriend because I'm me.
Sure.
They strike me as that. I don't know them. That's unfair. But that's what they strike me as. I think that's really interesting what Wendy Williams said. I think that that's a real possibility. But the way this all worked in my head, and actually I put as soon as they announced that Kim Kardashian was going to meet with President Trump, I put on my Facebook, she's going to ask for him to pardon Centoya and Alice Johnson because she's tweeted about that, which was great. She has a lot of followers, and a lot of people were tweeting about it at the time. But at least with Centoya, it's not a federal case.
No.
So it wasn't. So I'm glad to hear that she didn't talk about that because I would have been like, you damn dummy. But nonetheless, what it all seems like to me is after everything that happened with Kanye and Donda's house and all the stuff that blew up last week, it became abundantly clear that all of the things that people have continued to try to tout about Kanye as still being this giver back to Chicago and to the people, it became clear that he is not that anymore, and somebody put him on shout.
Yeah.
And I felt like this was trying to clean that up.
Yeah.
And I don't even feel like it was Kanye trying to clean it up. I felt like it was Kim. Because Kim is
AKA
tired.
Chris.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Kris
I don't
Jenner.
even know. I feel like Kim is tired of the bad press because I feel like she's in competition with Beyonce. Not a conspiracy theory. But so I feel like she went there with the best intentions, but that's so shitty that that's what your best intention is. And you don't understand how little you know, that you think you're like, well, I'm a celebrity, so I can go in here and get this done, that you don't find that problematic. And I feel like at the end of the day, if anything does happen, the Kardashian clan is going to look at us and say, we got your girl released, and we're not going to respond the way they want us to, and they're going to think we're ungrateful.
Right.
And my husband actually had a really great analogy. He was like, it's like if you were in a domestic violence relationship, and then you know this person is kicking your ass, kicking your kid's ass, and then all of a sudden your kid needs a kidney, and they give your kid a kidney, and they're like, so you gonna leave me now?
Right.
And they're still beating your ass, and you're just like, I'm not ungrateful, but I kind of am. And I feel like it's all manipulative, and I kind of hate them now. Like, I've been like indifferent. James knows Kanye was in my head like my best friend for years. Yeah. And I've been kind of low key like, man, bruh, I was sad for him. Now I'm like very pop.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you think you don't think that we're a little hard on them because they're only as famous as we make them? You know what I mean? Like we keep them.
Okay.
Meaning
let's qualify we right
as a people.
Okay.
As a people, that's why I said not the 4 people in this studio, but we as a people are interested in the Kardashians and keep them relevant.
We, as in black people, that keep them going. I think white women love them. And I think there's a certain subsection of Hispanic women and women of other races because they're you can't. Y'all might deny. I think some of them are beautiful. Like some of them. Look at his face.
Oh, you mean the Kardashians?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're beautiful. They're rich. They live.
Agree.
It's like
I used to enjoy the Kardashians. I'm not gonna front. I was a fan. I watched the show. It went a little left when everybody's lives was going whatever. But in the beginning, I enjoy the houses and the purses and the shopping and the hair and makeup. Like it's great.
And you know, Kim changed the face of makeup. Yeah. And, like there's a lot of they have changed pop culture, but they also offer a certain Drake's audience. They offer Drake's audience this idea where you can have black proximity, but you don't have to be black.
Yeah.
And they don't acknowledge that. The problem is they don't acknowledge it. Every time something happens, and the fact that something keeps happening, whether it's they got T-shirts with Tupac and Biggie on it, or cornrows, and the fact that they just pretend like it never happened, or don't say, or the fact that it keeps happening. Mm-hmm. Which means you're choosing to continue.
Or do you think that they just feel uncomfortable in that?
If you feel uncomfortable, you feel uncomfortable talking about it, you shouldn't have it as a part of your life.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Me and her are soul sisters.
I think so.
Like you shouldn't be able to.
I think so.
You don't do it.
What's up, James?
What's up, bro? How you doing? You good? You good? I'm good.
Good seeing you today, bro.
But that's what. And so even with her meeting with the president. I mean, sure, it would be great, right? Yeah. But you haven't systematically changed anything. You don't have a plan to. And you don't have a plan to. You're not meeting with people who are doing this day in and day out, like the Innocence Project, or like
that's true.
Or you're not doing the work. You're doing something to put yourself a pat on the back and say, I like black people too. My kids are black.
Yep. You're not doing anything sustainable. And I think that's the thing. And that's the thing that I typically look for, because we do find that, celebrities will lean on their celebrity in the sense of they have the ability to get in these rooms and to have these meetings, but it's not a sustainable type of initiative or program that, and even if this woman does get pardoned, that's great. If one person is saved, but I think in the totality of it, particularly when you look at folks who are doing the work day in, day out, like that's where the attention should go, and really that's what you should be aligning yourself with. And it's kind of like when Trump was taking these meetings with, like Steve Harvey, or you could tell that it was all for publicity's sake, and he wasn't meeting with the folks who were on the ground, who were doing the work, and who could effectuate real change within the communities.
If Kim walked into that room with some folks from the Innocence Project, or she walked into that room with some folks that are on the ground, some District Court of Appeals people, some people who've been working on this, I would be like, you know what?
Then I would.
Maybe that's what she's channeling her energy.
She opened the door, and she let these people come in because they knew they would meet with her. So she was like, "Let me let you talk to the people." She didn't do that. She went in there so she could get a victory.
That's true.
She went in with Sean.
Well, listen, we're gonna move on because we want to get some questions with you guys. Because look,
we're gonna keep talking about this.
Clearly, they got their publicity. We're gonna get more publicity for your show, the Giants. Giants. There we go.
Perfect.
That's what we're talking about. Giants. All right, we got a quick little clip we want to play for you guys right now of the show.
Most people think of birthdays as a time to have a big celebration. But what if you took your birthday as an opportunity to truly ask yourself, where is it that I'd like to see myself over the coming year? So where do you see yourself, Malachi? I ain't felt it good in a minute.
Yo.
Rise and grind, baby. I got 3 clients for you to service today.
My dick is wild. I was with somebody last night and wouldn't get up.
There's some Viagra in the cabinet. If I want a limp dick motherfucker, I could've stayed at the Cork.
Journey crash here?
I don't know, Kai. Where is she gonna sleep?
She can crash on the couch. I'll sleep in the bed with you.
You alright?
I spilled chicken salad on my sister's floor and she kicked me out of the house.
Candace.
Hey, let's go.
That's not why she kicked me out of the house. It's just the icing on a really shitty cake that I've been baking for like the past month. It could have been worse though. Could have gotten in my hair.
Small victories.
In this moment, I'm feeling good right now.
There's a part of me that feels like I can't fully accept myself until he does.
Try to talk to him, but remember, you're you, whether he accepts you or not.
Journey, I need for you to find reasons to get up and get out. Don't let this fear hold you back.
Look myself in the mirror and say,
This whole season of life is just about second chances.
I have this reoccurring dream that I was running from something I couldn't see. And then last night, I dreamt that it finally caught me.
I'm feeling like I made it.
So people are loving your show. You got Emmy-nominated, received 6 Indie Awards, I mean, including Best Drama. What do you want people to take away from your show?
You know, I think mainly I want people to see themselves. The main message in season 2 is that some giants you slay and others you tame. And so we all have a giant. We all have something that is standing between us and our destiny. You have to identify it. And whether you slay it or you tame it, you have to deal with it in order to move forward and become the fullness of who you were meant to be.
What about you? So you like that?
She's like, I like that. I like that.
What that nigga said.
How'd you now? I know that there's a lot of talent involved in this show, and you know, this is one of those ones I really wanted to promote here because I think everybody should be watching. I think it's a very important show, especially with what we were talking about today. This is very important of our times. I know it focuses a lot on millennials, but I think that anyone can relate to this show. What's been your favorite part and enjoyment on working with the show?
Working with friends. You know, Vanessa and I are best friends. We've known each other since college, and so it's really a joy to go to work and be able to work with people that you know and love, but to receive these accolades and be able to go to the Emmys with my dog.
Let me tell you about my Emmy story real quick. So James and I arrived there, and we do the red carpet, and you know it's our first time ever doing something on that level, especially being like nominated, which was amazing. And so we're also trying to glean information because, you know, we're completely independent. There were like brand sponsorships and there was money raised, but I mean, we making it happen, you know what I mean? Yep. So we're walking and like all these people had like their publicists going before them. And so James and I aren't getting any interviews because we don't have a publicist. So James is like, next year, V, we gonna get one of these pushy white ladies to come and get us over there. And so we like basically breezed through the red carpet. So me and my dog went and got toe up before the Emmy. You hear me? It was like
celebrate.
It was free food. James had 2 plates.
When it's free,
we know that very well. We understand.
Yeah, I was duct taped into my dress, so I couldn't eat for real. I was drinking.
We got to the bar. I looked at the top shelf. I saw y'all got Hennessy. Give me that.
I'm all about that. Now, I know the show also speaks very much on mental health and sexuality, as we saw in the unconventional means of economic survival. How would you both describe the show outside of that? If someone was new to watching it or had heard about it but hadn't seen it yet, how would you describe it to lure them in?
I would say it's a show that honestly and unapologetically depicts the Black millennial experience.
Sure. Ooh, that's a good
definitely. I think all the characters, both ours and like the main 3 and the auxiliary characters, you're watching something that millennials go through, which is learning both how to survive and how to thrive.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Like when they're surviving, they're just trying to figure stuff out in a big city and trying to be a little bit different from their parents. But then when they actually are on top, they can never sustain it because they also never learn to thrive and just to live. And I think that's something we've all
experience on some level. My question is going into this, it was season 2 for you guys. Correct. What was sort of, you kind of maybe already spoke to it a little bit, the most challenging thing about going into second season, and how did the second season change you individually as creators and artists?
That's good. Raising the stakes, I think across the board, was a challenge. We came off a successful season 1, but I knew we had to do better. We had to go bigger. And in going bigger, in particular as independent production, means more work for all of us, across the board. And so I just continue to remind myself to rise to the occasion. Vanessa and I talked about this today. I told her.
I was going to say that. We just talked about this today.
It was moments where I literally said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know where the money is going to come from. And so there were a lot of question marks. But we just had to continue to push forward. And I think how I've been changed, as an artist, is I really realized my brilliance, this season. I think there have been times where I really questioned myself. I wondered, I had the dreams and I had the aspirations, and sometimes you do question God, will I ever get there? Sure. And you see yourself at a certain place, but this season showed me that everything that I thought I was, I am.
Yeah,
I love that, man.
Yeah, I can definitely second that. It's something, y'all, we literally had, James and I were on the phone for like an hour and a half today, and we had this conversation today, not even knowing we'd talk about it later. But also something that this season taught me was a different level of commitment.
In what regard?
Well, the first season of Giants was, I almost want to say it was almost experimental. Like, we weren't exactly sure what it was going to be. I didn't know anything it was going to be. James came to my house one night and was like, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm writing this show. I need you to be in it. And I was like, all right. Like, that's my best friend. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just showing up. And so that was kind of what the first season of Giants was like. The second season was very intentional in preparation and writing and scheduling and deciding character. It was just very, very intentional. And like you said, because we're independent production, we're still doing it basically for no money, with the same amount of time that we had before. But there was this level of commitment that we all had and had to continue to have, even when we were worn out, when we were on like month 4 and we were all just exhausted, which was, we see this thing through to the finish line. We don't know what it's going to reap, but it doesn't matter. We give excellence at every step.
Yep.
And that shit was hard sometimes. Yeah. But that was kind of the beauty of, like you said, of doing it with your best friend, doing it with people who have now become like family, is when you didn't feel like doing it, you couldn't let them down. And so every day you just showed up and you gave the best that you could. Like, I have a 2.5-year-old. They just helped me mom in ways that the writer's room met at my house. Yeah. My son goes to bed at 7:30. It met at 8. So I had enough time to put him down, get something to eat, and we met until like 11:30, 12. So I could still be part of that room. And it was just like, we were committed not only to the show, but to giving each other an opportunity to do our best work and to show the world what we were capable of doing. And I feel like at the end, what my therapist always says, believe that good things can happen for you. Yeah. They did.
Great things happen.
It was really
Great
exciting.
Things happen. And I'm glad that you guys are doing what you do, because I think this show is so important with where we're at right now, like I was saying before. But we have to unfortunately wrap. But how do fans find out more about the show? Where can they find you on social media? We'll start with you, Vanessa.
You can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at v.kelly, VDOTKELLY, and on Facebook at Vanessa Baden Kelly.
You can find me at JR Bland on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find the show at Giants the Series on all social media platforms. The show streams on Issa Rae's YouTube channel. You can binge season 1 and 2, or you can just go to giantstheseries.com.
Courtney.
I'm not in Giants. I'm everywhere on the social medias. All over the social medias at Stewart Starlet.
You can find me at Derrial Christon on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on the Reels channel on Broken Famous. And if you guys are on a red carpet and BHL is there, please stop by, because we will definitely give you a long interview. Thank you. All right?
Thank you so much.
And we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Derrial, Christon, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or